Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Producers Table. I am your host, Onyx Keisha, and this is a space where we get into the real work of producing. Not just the titles, the budget, or the accolades, but the purpose, the pivots, and the process. So, tonight's episode is all about something I believe every producer will face at some point, and it's the producer's pivot. That's what my opening talk is about. My opening talk is about the producer's pivot. And then we are going to jump into a conversation with my very, 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 very special guest. But let's talk about this pivot, guys. Not every project goes as planned. Okay? I am speaking from years and years and years of experience. Not every plan stays aligned with your purpose, your vision, your why. And not every yes is meant to last forever. And that's a big one. I had to really learn that not every yes is meant to be there forever. And I have learned to honor the seasons, the lifetimes that are within my lifetime when it comes to producing. Sometimes the most powerful thing, guys, hear me loud and clear. Sometimes the most powerful thing a producer can do is pivot. Pivot with intention. You hear that? Pivot with intentions. Pivot to protect the story. And this one, guys, this one is huge. Pivot to protect yourself. Okay? Pivot to protect yourself. Let me be real. I told you, I've had to pivot more than once. And I want to talk about 2 times. Now, there's tons of times, but what I think makes a really powerful producer is knowing when to pivot. So the first thing I want to talk about is Priceless. Okay? Priceless, the series, almost a decade ago. Me and B. Danielle Watkins, we cast this series called Priceless, okay? Now, if I'm being transparent, I'm going to tell you the intention was a little off, okay? It was a little off. That's another story for another time. Maybe when she's on the show, we will talk about it because God knows we learned our lesson. We learned our lesson about intention. We have been obedient and God has continued to bless us. But Priceless, the series, we put a lot of heart, a lot of time into it. And we had a huge cast. And we had to let go of like the star of the show. Now, those of you who have seen Priceless, the Don character, the actor who was playing Don, halfway through filming, we had to let her go. That was the first pivot. So we wanted to salvage it. We had so much money invested in it. We had people flying in. We had a lot of people depending on it. And if I'm going to be honest, looming over my head was this whole idea that Empower doesn't finish anything, that Empower doesn't complete anything. So I was fighting that too, right? God shut it down. We did not pivot when it was time to pivot. And it still did not come to fruition. But let me tell you how amazing God is. 7 years later, almost a whole decade later, we were able to turn Priceless into 2 films, Priceless the Dawn, Priceless the Score, both currently streaming, guys, on Peacock, on Tubi, and on Prime. Now, I'm so grateful that we were able so many years later to make this phenomenal project. We're very excited about it. It is going a little viral. So if you haven't watched it, please watch it. Um, but we didn't pivot when we were supposed to. We did our first pivot. We were very young in the game. This was early on in our producing career. The first pivot was letting go of the main character, but we arrived at that way too late, and ultimately we did not finish that first project. Now I want to talk to you about the second time, the second example rather, that we had to pivot and how to make a true producer pivot decision. And that's what Sinful Paradise. Now, if you guys know, Sinful Paradise is streaming on Tubi. It is an amazing film, and it takes place behind the scenes of a strip club. Well, we were funded, we were scheduled, we already had a distribution deal for Sinful Paradise 2. I'm going to take it even further. We were in the midst of producing, filming Sinful Paradise 2. And it was back-to-back things that made us stop and say, let's assess. And we made a pivot. We decided to stop production. And because we came to that decision early on, it did not cost us what Priceless cost us. It did not cost us what it would have if we did not come to that decision. So I want you to know, sometimes you have to pivot. We talk about pushing through a lot, and you have to have that as a producer. You have to know when to push through, but you also have to know when to pivot. It is essential. It is one of those tools that you need to keep in your producer toolbox to be so in tune. And remember, last episode, we talked about those 5 questions. 5 questions you got to ask yourself. But to be so in tune with the answers to those questions, to be so in tune with your why, your purpose, your resources, and assessing your team and having that discernment that you know when to pivot. So anyone who's listening, whether this is your first project or this is your 15th project, hell, or your 50th project, know this: your pivot doesn't make you a failure. I had to learn that, guys. Your pivot does not make you a failure. It makes you a producer, period. So, speaking of powerful producers, I am so honored to introduce someone who understands what it means to create with purpose and build spaces for others to find their purpose and create in purpose. She is the co-founder of Obsidian Arts Collective with moi. She is the force behind producing productions like Fences, Steel Magnolias, The Colored Museum. She also produced Little Shop, Pearly, Noises Off. She is skilled at producing podcasts and talk shows like Relationship Matters. And together with her amazing husband, Dre, she runs Mark Squared Studios in Tucker, Georgia, a creative hub for storytellers of all kinds. And tonight, she's giving us an exclusive. We are announcing something that we are so excited about. So, what I need you to do is I need you to pull up a seat to the producer's table. I need you to share this. I need you to tell a friend and tell a friend. And I need you to help me welcome Karlotta Washington to the producer's table.
All right.
Hey, Karlotta.
Okay. Can you hear me?
I can hear
All
you.
right. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go.
So I'm so excited to have you here, but we have conversations, hours and hours and hours of conversation. So I am so excited to um, let other people come into our conversations.
Uh-oh.
And and I also, hope to continue to have opportunities to really talk to you and pick your brain, because you are really such a central part of the creative community in the Atlanta area, whether it's building a set, bringing in a set, helping creatives, filming. Like, you and Dre are really amazing and a staple in the community. So
Well,
thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. It's nice to
Okay.
hear that because, this is life.
Yeah, yeah. Sometimes when you're in it, you're just like, oh,
Just
Lord.
in it.
So the first thing I really want to talk about is your journey. And I want to kind of focus this part of our conversation on theater, because this is, you know, something that is relatively new in regards to producing theater, versus your years and years of work in the digital space. So, what first drew you into producing, especially theater?
Ooh. So, producing in itself, I have to just kind of start at the beginning with that. So, you have the actors and the directors and all of the other pieces and parts, the, DPs and all of those other folks. And I'm really none of those people. So, but I love the process. I love creative process. I love watching a concept become, a whole idea that's tangible and that people can see and interact with. So for me, because I have, old school marketing background, started out in administration, organizational skills and all of that, then I was like, okay, well, where do I fit into this puzzle? Where is my space here? Because I just wanted to be a part of it. I knew that they needed someone to support the process. I knew that they needed, someone to make sure everyone was where they needed to be. They needed someone to carry the vision sometimes. So that for me became the ding, ding, ding moment where I was like, oh, there is a place for me in this process. And actually what I always say is that there's a place for anybody in theater and especially in film. I don't care what you do. The janitor, everybody is, and not even dismissively, even the janitor is as relevant and as important as anybody else on a production. And so when I figured out that there was a place for everybody and that there was a place for me, and that the place for me was really just putting all the pieces and parts together, then that's where I landed. And if anyone had said to me, like, now is 15 years, I guess, that I would literally be doing this part of it, producing, I would be like, nah, I don't know what y'all talking about. That does not look anything like me. But today it's just as natural as breathing almost, And then for theater, I love theater. I don't know. I can't even tell you why I love theater. I just do. It's like I speak to other folks and they're like, Karlotta, you just light up when you start talking about theater. Like your whole demeanor changes. Like I know we're in Atlanta and it's about film and everything. For me, I probably need to be in New York or someplace where it's all about theater. Because for me, producing theater is immediate. It's like you watch it unfold in front of you. You literally get to see all of the pieces and parts come together. And I think I'm a glutton for hard work
Mhm.
because it's like theater is like hard work.
Yes.
But I'm also so excited when I see people put in the work to make it happen.
Yeah.
So producing theater, it makes me happy. It just satisfies my soul. I love
Yes.
when, the people, the actors, the directors, the wardrobe, all the pieces and parts, the stage managers, everybody. I love seeing them do their thing. And then I also love watching the audience's reaction to all of those pieces and parts coming together. Like, we just did the Color Museum. So last weekend, right? Was it? It was, yeah, just
It
last.
just passed.
So, and I was there on the side just watching people's reaction to all of the exhibits. And if you could see the looks on their faces and how they responded and everything, then you get something that you don't necessarily get in film. Like you get to see people actually have this moment with the people on the stage, and that interaction is beautiful. Like it's nothing, in media. I don't think there's anything else that compares to it. So yeah,
Yeah,
producing is my space. I don't know if I answered your question because
you did.
I'm of that space in age. So sometimes I lose track. But anyhow,
No, no,
yeah,
no.
I just it's just my thing. It makes sense to me. Like other things don't make sense. Like
Yeah,
in this world, it fits. It fits me. Yeah,
I
so I love
I understand 100%. Like, man. One thing that I love that you mentioned that we'll probably talk about that a little bit later, but I wanted to acknowledge the transferable skills
it.
because a lot of times when people are thinking about getting into producing, they're thinking like, I don't have any experience. I didn't go to film school. I didn't go to school for theater. I haven't been doing this, but they don't understand that, especially when you come from corporate or you're a project manager or you're in marketing, those are all transferable skills that will make you a powerhouse in this producing game. Would you like
Absolutely.
to add on to that?
Absolutely. Like I now today I say everything that I ever did before has prepared me for what I'm doing today. So that's my little moniker for this time in my life. But truly, with producing theater or producing for film or what have you. So I started out in broadcast journalism, which I almost forgot that was my background, to tell the truth. So
Mhm.
years pass and you have this whole life and you even forget, oh, I majored in broadcast journalism. Okay.
Yes.
So I have a media background, but really in my traditional life, corporate world, I went into marketing, I went into proposal management, I went into project management, all of those things didn't have anything to do with the arts and media or any of those things in the traditional sense, but they were getting me prepared for what we do now. Like it was getting me prepared for organizing a project. It was getting me prepared for, putting the puzzles pieces together. It was getting me prepared for all of those things. So when the opportunity came about to re-engage in media and in production and specifically in theater, it was seamless. It was like, it's like, oh, I've done that already. Oh, I know how to do that. Oh, and so for sure, especially those of us who aren't, actors or those other things that everybody kind of talks about, there's a space for you. And it will make sense. If you fall in love with it and you start tapping into all those skills, it's like, I even knew this one lady, she had been a manager at McDonald's for forever, right? And I was like, but you have all of these skills. There's nothing to stop you. You've been managing people for the last 20 years. There's no reason why you can't manage this process. You know how to do payroll, timesheets. You know how to make sure everybody's covered. You know how to do all
Yes.
these things. So, and it actually asking that question makes me think of the whole corporate to creative, concept that we, support on this side is that all of those skills you can transfer them wherever you need to do the things that you want to do, and you walk in with that knowledge base from day one. So your learning curve, yeah, you may have to learn the terminology and things like that, but it's going to be like that as opposed to that. It shortens the learning curve because you do have so many transferable skills. So I would definitely say anybody who's interested, go for it. Just think about all the things that you've done. Even like motherhood has prepared you for
Yes. Yes.
producing and production and all of those things. So if it's something you want to do, you probably have more talent and skills than you actively realize. That will make it very easy for you to go into.
Absolutely. Now, when you have this crazy director
Oh
or
my God.
this
Directors are
creative,
the worst, though. Just
this creative who comes to you with an idea and you are tapped in. What is, as a producer, just talk to me about what is the first thing that you do, because producing for theater is very different than for film or for podcasts or for talk shows. But crazy idea, big idea, you are on board. What are your next steps?
So it's just well, let me start with this. For me, it's all about the being on board part of it.
Mm,
So the being on board part, once you have, like for me personally, I'm purpose driven. So if I'm on board, I'm on board. If it
yeah,
makes sense, even if it makes sense only to me and whoever I'm talking to,
yeah,
I'm like,
yeah,
okay, it makes sense to us. Everybody else will fall into line.
yeah.
So for me, that's the initial part. Is like you have to buy into the vision. You have to really be a part of it, and it has to make sense and resonate with your inner self. And then once that happens, it's really just the process of building it out. Like,
Yeah,
can we accommodate? For
yeah,
us, we produce in small spaces. We always have. We're like doing big productions in spaces that really aren't supposed to be done, and traditionally in the spaces that we're doing it in. So I'm thinking about, can we accommodate it?
right.
I'm gonna tell the truth. How much is it going to cost us?
Yep.
Because we're self-funded at this point. So I think about, okay, how are we going to make this work with the resources that we have available? And I think you mentioned that as part of year 5. I didn't see the show last week, but your resources play a role in it.
Mhm.
But it's just the mechanics of it all. After that,
Yeah,
once you bought in, that's the biggest part. Like, it's
yeah,
really the buy-in, and then from there, you're just making sure all the things are in place that need to happen in order to produce an outstanding show. And then for me, that's really it. It's no magic to it other than once you're in it, to just do the
and
steps and make it happen the way you envision it happening. Now, crazy directors, though, they can challenge you, because in a great way, because what ends up happening is that you start stretching. Like, you're like, okay, if we're going to do this in this space and with these resources, how do we make it happen? Because
right,
again, it's the buy-in. So I'm bought in. I'm like, okay, we can do it. So
right,
then from there, it's just a matter of figuring out how to make those things happen.
right.
And I, I wish I could say, oh, it's so structured, but I promise you, like, this life for me has been just, it teaches me about God and blessings, and
Mhm, yes.
you know, um, just things being in alignment the way they are supposed
Mm,
to be. And honestly, a lot of it has very little to do with me, other than saying I'm available, I'm here, I'm
yeah.
open.
Oh,
So
oh, that is
that
good.
that is really the biggest truth of it all. Is
Yeah,
just being open to it, and then God says, "Okay, what you're doing, I'm proposing and accepting that it's good work, that it
yeah.
makes a difference, and then everything else seems to just do what it's supposed to do."
Man, you don't know how you are feeding my soul right now, because it's so hard, I think, when I'm teaching or mentoring, you know, to not include that piece in it, because you have to just you saying yes and being open.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
self, you know, is really what's going to signal to God that yes, we are going to make this happen, and then being committed
Yes.
to that yes. Um, Man, that is just amazing. I feel like my two worlds, faith and producer's table, are meeting. Um,
I don't know how you do. I don't know how you produce without faith on this level. Like
yeah.
when and I don't even know. Once the big money comes, I think I'll still have the
Oh
same
yeah.
attitude. I don't
Oh
think
yeah.
it's going to change.
Oh yeah.
But I think that the way we do it,
Mhm.
it is like I always tell people, this is my faith journey. Like this whole process, Mars Squared, everything that I've done in the last 15 years has really like taught me about God. Like I tell people, I physically know and see and could point days on calendars and say, God was here. He showed up here. And even he showed up last week. I don't even know. We have people who just fall into place. I'm like, where'd you come from? I don't know. But thank you, Lord. Let's keep it moving. Like it's really that real for me. So I can't separate the two now. Like it's they just go hand in hand. It's not even it's more than just hand in hand. They're just cohesive and combined. So yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I love that. I love it. And you know, guys, when I'm talking about a crazy director, I'm definitely referring to
To
myself.
herself. I
So,
thought about you, but it may apply to you too. So I don't know.
uh, so of the plays that you have produced, and let me just say, you know, because set design is a whole nother thing. Like that is like such a lane inside Mark Square that you guys have just mastered. And I just feel like I'm never really worried about what the final product is going to look like. But when it comes to like producing and going from I got my buy in and now we got to sell tickets. Which show has been the most challenging for you, or rather presented some challenges for you that kind of come up?
So through the years, my
Mhm.
toughest show has been Pearly.
Yeah, I saw it. It was
Pearly,
amazing, but
uh,
I said I saw it. It was
it's
amazing.
a beautiful show. It's
Yeah.
probably it's we've done some big shows like so when we were in our own theater, which is soon to come again, but when
Mhm.
we were in our own space, we've done larger shows, shows with rotating sets and all of those other things. But to be transparent, as we all like to say, so Pearly, for whatever reason, everything was not falling into place. And honestly, like the day of Pearly, I literally had a complete breakdown. I had a meltdown. I'm in the middle of the floor. We're trying to get the set finished and get everything painted. And I'm like having this fit. And my husband, who is also my business partner and also my everything else, he looks at me and he's like, "Oh, I guess you need to get that out."
I love Dre.
It's like, I guess you needed to just express yourself in that way. And what are we gonna do? You gotta get up, pull yourself together, and
Right.
let's finish this. But it was something just about the dynamics. It was like a musical, and there were a lot of moving parts to it. And I had this vision for this big over the top set, and thankfully we were in our own space and we could, execute a lot of the things, but some things just weren't falling into place the way I saw them.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, I couldn't let go because sometimes you do have to say, I just gotta shelf
That,
this. I
that
gotta
pivot.
table this. I can't
That
I
pivot.
can't have this today. But
Yeah.
for whatever reason, that was not clicking through in my mind. Like at that moment in time, I'm like, this is not what I wanted. This is not how I envisioned it. And I was just upset. So that one was the hardest one for me because of those reasons. But by the end of it, By the end of the run, everything was, lined up and it did what it needed to do, and it was beautiful, and it was an amazing production.
It really was.
But just sometimes you don't get what you want the way you
Yeah.
want it to be. And it's like you were talking about earlier about pivoting. Like
Mhm.
sometimes you just have to move in a way that you hadn't planned on. And I guess maybe I was just doing too many movements for that one that I hadn't planned on. I was like, I don't know what to do. And I fell out, but it turned
Yeah.
out. It worked its way
Understood. Understood completely. Let's transition a bit and let's talk about the digital space. And actually, before we start talking about visual podcasts, I want to talk about talk shows and producing talk shows and how, we know the world of theater. And a lot of people also know producing film, but producing talk shows it's a very specific skill set. Can you talk to me a little bit about what that's like for you?
So when I'm full fledged producing, it's more like a writer's room for me, the way I work into it. So um, my some of my clients and talk show hosts, and they handle everything on their own. They come in, they sit down, they have everything in place. Others, I help them create the shows, and so that's the part that is I actually enjoy it. I really love it, but then it's really like you have someone else's vision and you are developing content around that vision, which you may or may not be connected to directly. So then you have to kind of think about it in terms of their mindset. So for me, producing on that side is a little different maybe than other producers. I don't know, because I'm kind of in my own, my own
Right.
head most of the time. um, but for me, that's the toughest or most different part of producing the
Mhm.
talk shows. Is just really when you have to get in and start developing and running the show and being the showrunner and saying this is what it's going to look like and this is what we're going to talk about, and then making sure that it connects with the audience, because we can produce as much content as we want to, and a lot of us produce amazing content, but if it's not resonating or if you're not connecting with your audience, then it works for you and you're getting it out, but you're not really achieving your goal if it was to really say, I want to impact other people. So, producing for talk shows, that's the biggest part of it, because quite honestly, like planning the shoots and getting everybody into place, and those things are pretty template.
Mhm.
But then just preparing your guests and making sure the guests are going to align with the show and the content that you want to create for it, that's where the challenge becomes.
Definitely. One of the things that I really love about you guys is that you don't you don't just throw up a podcast. And we are living in a time where podcasts are
Mm-hmm.
like
I'm a
you
minute.
but what I love about your podcast that you produce, people who come through your building to get a podcast done, it is, I mean, there's really no difference between a podcast and a talk show, really. It's just the platform. Can you talk to me about why that is important and essential to you and for your brand to make sure that you're really giving your all to these creatives who want to do a pop-up podcast?
Right. So for us, so we're in a marketplace where, like you said, podcasts are a dime a minute. I mean, a dime a dollar, or however the term is. I don't know. But anyhow, everybody has a podcast, and it's and there's low barriers to entering. the podcast arena. So for us, though, we really entrench ourselves in our clients' brands. So that means that I understand why they're there, what they want to accomplish, what their goals are, what their look and feel is. So we make it specific to who they are and the audience that they want to serve. So you'll never come in our studio and see the same background for anybody. Everybody has a unique background. Everybody has a set that speaks to who they are. Everybody has openers and closers and lower thirds. We produce it like a talk show. So if you go outside of just an audio file and you need the visual and you want to have it ready to go on a streaming network, or if you get blessed and Netflix or somebody larger wants to get it, then you're already packaged and in the can for that. And I think that that's the biggest difference that we bring to the marketplace, is that we really want to support the vision, the mission, and the purpose for the podcast that we serve. So that's what we do.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, and guys, if you have never been to Mark Squared, if you have never seen their work, I am telling you, it is top notch. It is top notch.
Thank you.
So, okay, this is, I don't want to say this is a personal question, but you have been in business with your husband for
15 years.
Over a decade.
Mm-hmm.
You know, what is it like working, having a partner in business, a partner in life, a partner in all things? What has it been like navigating that?
It has been, I hate to say it's simple and easy, but it has been, I don't have any like horror stories to tell. Which I'm grateful for. I'm really like it. I can't make it sensational and say, "Oh, we said we're gonna do whatever." I don't have that story. Honestly, what we say is, I'm officially, I'm really left-handed, so I'm the left hand and he's the right hand, and it is a match. Like, we support one another. Like, whereas I'm all about. Now, the thing about us is this. I'm like, let's do this. And he'll start asking me 20 questions. I don't really know the answers to all your questions. I just know that this is something we can do. So the great thing is that after I answer the 20 questions and maybe 20 more, then he's usually like, okay, let's do it. And actually, I have to be honest, like, as much as all my life is about filmmaking and producing and podcasts and set designs and all of those things, 15 years ago, my life was nothing like that at all. Like, at all. But then once we came together, and he was like, well, I don't think I'm going back to a traditional job, because he got laid off. And he started doing his video stuff, and I started dipping my finger in his Kool-Aid. It just clicked through, and it just became who and what we are today. So anybody who meets us like 15 years later will say, oh, this is just what you guys have always been doing. But we had whole lives before that were nothing like this.
Yeah.
But we have learned, and it's like, a lot of people talk about, you hire to your weaknesses. I mean, it's not hired, obviously, but, my weakness is his strength, and my strengths are his weakness. So that's where the left and the right hand come into play. But we process information differently. Mm-hmm. We operate in the world differently. And sometimes there's challenges there, but nothing that doesn't teach us both how to be better people.
Right.
So yeah, a lot of people say I could never work with my partner every day, all day long, whatever, for the last literally 15 years. But we've been married for 15 years, and we've actually had our business for 14.
Wow. Yeah. That is so beautiful. I absolutely I would love nothing more than to work with my wife every day. And when we have opportunity to do that, it's really amazing. So
Hmm.
I'm definitely trying to retire her early.
Yeah, yeah. And it's a good thing. I mean, once when it works
Yeah.
beautifully. So and I'm great. I'm grateful for it. I don't know. I definitely wouldn't be doing any of this if it wasn't, if he wasn't a part of it. I can say that. I know a lot of people like, oh no, I'm going to be this, that, and other. Nope. Mm-mm. I need that partnership in order to make this happen. Like
Oh,
it's
that's
not, and I don't want it to be any other kind of way. Like
yeah,
I like it that way. Like
yeah,
if he pushes back and he's like, I don't know if I want to do it. I'm like, you got to figure out how you got to do it. If I
yeah.
want to do it, you have to do it.
Right.
So yeah, it's
Wow.
really great. Yeah, it's the good stuff.
So before we jump into our announcement, I just want to say, guys, there's a storm happening right now. I don't know if it's storming by you, Carlotta, but my dog is afraid of the thunder. So
Oh,
she is up under me, and
oh,
it's just I just don't know what to do. So here's Tootsie, guys.
oh,
Here's
hey, hi.
Okay, so okay. Oh Jesus, oh Jesus. Let's talk about Stage It Live. Talk to me about that.
So, Stage It Live, we did it, I don't know how many years ago. Stage It Live is also called the Audience Choice.
Mm-hmm.
So, basically, what we're going to do is we're asking playwrights to submit their plays, and they come in and they do the best 10 minutes from their plays. It's a stage reading, it's the best 10 minutes of their play, whatever it is, their original works.
Yes.
Anything that has not been, it could have been staged before, it just couldn't have been on off Broadway or Broadway.
Mm-hmm,
You
mm-hmm.
know, but otherwise, they presented 10 minutes. So we'll have a group of professionals from the industry who will critique it, kind of like American Idol style. We've done it before. It worked out beautifully.
Yeah.
The judges just had the best insight and advice for the playwright. So I think that alone would be worth it for them. But we have a goodie for them. So whoever wins, they get $500. And then, so a little cash in your hand is a bag, and they can do whatever they want to do with it. Hopefully, they'll pour it back into the production. But then also, our group, ORSCO, the City Arts Collective, we will consider producing it for our 2026 season. So we're really excited about it because there's some great projects out there
Yeah.
waiting to come on board and be seen and be put
Yeah.
on the stage. And we want to be a part of doing that. So yeah, that's what Stage It Live is. But then I almost left out. So the audience does have like, old school Apollo style. I think it might be where they clap and we have the meter there. And we can see who the audience loved best as well. So it's got some duality to it that makes it
Yeah.
fun, interesting. And yeah, we're really excited about it. So we're going to do, I think, 2 days. That week is in August 12th and 13th, I think it is.
Mm-hmm,
The
mm-hmm.
week, so yeah, I'll have to look it up. But that week, so we'll do some workshopping, some audience development. We'll talk about ORSCO. What does it really mean to us to produce through ORSCO? And what does it mean for the community and for the culture? Like, we're probably the only Black production company in Conyers, Rockdale County, on the east side of Atlanta. So we want to talk about what that is. We want to give some insight to about the place that we picked because this year we don't mess around. We do the serious stuff. Or the good stuff. We've done steel magnolias. We've done fences. We've done the Color Museum. I have to say, I'm not really sure what we're doing in December, but anyhow, um, I'm not sure yet, but it's coming. So we do productions that we believe are high value.
Yeah.
Um, but I think that the best part of what we do is we also, like for Still Magnolias, which will be coming up that weekend as well. Um, it's a traditional, play done by white, Caucasian, white, however you want to call it, not a fully African American cast. And I think it changed it immensely. The story that came out because you had these black women who were saying the same words mostly, um, but how it hit differently. And
Yes.
so I think getting off of the stage a lot, but just in general, what we do is that it changes the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
It could be the same words, but you have this person who brings in the context of being black in America, the
Yeah.
context of being a black woman in America. Like when you say you're dying, you die from diabetes, it takes on a whole nother level, a whole nother meaning. It's different,
It really is.
you
It,
know, because that's common in our community,
right.
But anyhow, I'm getting off track. But yeah, Stage It Live is going to be that week. We'll do the workshops. We'll do the Stage It Live event, and then we will do the encore presentation of Still Magnolias because it was sold out and folks loved it, and it was amazing, and it needs to be done again. So yeah, we're really excited about that.
Absolutely. So, my playwrights out there, whether you have 20 plays written or you're thinking about writing your first play, Stage It Live is definitely where you want to be because not only will you have an opportunity, like Carlotta said, to showcase your best 10 minutes, but you're also going to be able to learn about directing and producing and casting, all of these things that you will need when you mount your play. And like we said, our 2026 season absolutely can feature your play. And we are all about supporting, new playwrights or even playwrights who are looking for a place to stage their new work. So I'm so excited about that. We'll be dropping the flyer later on this week. Well, this weekend.
Yeah, for sure. 'Cause we need to get you in so we can see who's coming through and, put those best 10 minutes up and let's see what you got. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we're going to jump to lights, camera, answer.
Uh-oh,
This
uh-oh,
is
uh-oh.
our rapid fire quick question, no deep dives. I just want you to say the first thing that kind of comes to your mind. Are you
Okay.
ready?
This seems tricky, but okay, let's go.
What is one tool you cannot live without on set or backstage?
My phone.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. I lose my phone all the time.
Yeah. But I need my phone. Like, yeah, I have to have my phone because
Yes.
just because that's the mode of communication, even though we have headsets now, but my phone.
Hmm. Hmm. What is a dream collaboration, living or past?
Ooh. Oprah Winfrey, anything.
Yes.
Anything. I don't care what. I don't care what people say. I don't care how they feel. I don't care what they think. Yeah, it's gonna have to be Oprah, and then maybe James Baldwin after
Oh, I love it. I love it. Now, what would the title of your autobiography be? You can have a few more seconds to think about this one, but what would it be?
Love, lot of love.
Oh,
Yeah.
why? Tell me why.
Well, because it has some duality. Because my name is Karlotta, so it's a lotta in the middle,
I love.
and I want to be loved, and I want to give love and be a part of just a loving, intentional world.
Yeah.
So it's like, how much can we give, and how much can we receive? So that,
Oh, that
yeah,
is just beautiful.
yeah.
Well, Carlotta, thank you so much just for jumping on, having this conversation with me. I know that you dropped some nuggets that the audience will absolutely take and run with. So if you are watching, please follow Mark Squared, follow Carlotta. Where can we find you at?
Ooh, don't be messy, because that social media is not all it needs to be. But anyhow, it's Carlotta Washington everywhere. So IG and Facebook, and then Mark Squared ATL on IG and Facebook. You can find us there anytime. And then, of course, we're at ORSCO ATL. So you can find us there as well. So I
Yes.
think, I think that's all you need. You can find me somewhere, but always Carlotta Washington, even at Carlotta Washington at Gmail, if you can't remember anything else.
I love it. And guys, look out for all of our promo about Stage It Live. Thank
Yep.
you
So,
again,
all
Carlotta.
right. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you for inviting me. I appreciate it.
Thank you. And just to talk to my fellow producers, my aspiring producers, or like I said, my producers who are really looking to upscale. Producing is never just about pushing through. Our last two interviews, we really talked about having grit, pushing through, but it's also about checking in with your purpose and when necessary, pivoting to protect that purpose. And also, collaboration is so important. Carlotta and I are collaborating on this amazing theater company. And I think it's important to also understand that you do not have to do it all alone. You do not have to do it all alone. Even in my film company, I am partnered. I'm in a partnership while we create the magic. So, guys, I am Onyx Keisha. This has been the producer's table. And until next time, keep producing with purpose. Bye bye.